You know what? My mic was muted. I just caught on to that. And I didn't even see y'all say that. I got it now. No, my mic was muted. Okay. Let me start over again. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you for joining. This is Mike Walker, your host and head chef. And like I always say, thank you for being here. Uh, deciding to spend an hour or so with us on this Tuesday night. Uh, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. We hope you had a good day today. And if not, well, you made it through this day, but we pray that tomorrow be a better day for you. How about that? Okay. And I should have known better. As long as I've been doing this, though, and my mic was off, though. Okay. But I apologize for that. Please accept my apology. And I know y'all was going to let me know that my mic was off, though. So, and that's fine. That we all in this together, though. So let's get started, shall we? We're gonna get started with tonight's show. Like I said, we got a loaded show. We got a lot to talk about. So here we go. Let's get started though. Let's see what we got here. First and foremost, we got from the 205, Marcus Wilbanks. Good to have you here with us. We got Latoya. Great to have you here from the DMV. Good to have you here. Shireen also from the DMV. Great to have you here. Thank you about the song. Thank you so much right there. Thank you. Tanya R. Home. Yes. I'm pretty sure because you're a new member though. So thank you so much for being here. Glad you could join us. Hope this is your first time here. Hope this won't be your last time. Okay? Just sit back and enjoy and have fun. Okay. And my internet look like it's acting up too. So just be patient with me. As I'm looking at the replay and I'm looking kind of jerky. So y'all be patient with me. Valerie Zachary Cabot from Huntsville. Good to have you here, young lady. Karen, haven't seen you in a minute. Great to have you here, my good friend. Yeah, that's right. She'll love it. Hopefully she'll love it. Okay. Yeah, we get it. How you doing, Sis Foster? Groovy. Great to have you here from Alabama. Good evening, Valerie. Hope you're feeling better. Good to have you here. Uh, uh, yeah, okay. Okay. L from the Windy City. Good to have you here, ma'am. Great to have you here. Erica Stanley from the Show Me State. Good to have you here. From Brooklyn. Jewel Castor Mendoza. Great to have you here. You fell on my mind the other day. You know that? I gotta tell you about it. You fell on my mind too. And I should have reached out. So that's me right there. No, it's only right. I have to apologize. Tasha Lachey, glad to see you back here. Good evening to you, ma'am. Yeah, Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. Pastor Balders from South Carolina, great to have you here, sir. T. Colorado from the Sunshine State, good to have you here, ma'am. Please, y'all do that. Make her feel home. Sophia Walker from Virginia, great to have you here. From the Commonwealth of Virginia, okay? You're quite welcome. Okay, we got 18 folks in here. Okay, Tanya from the Palmetto State. Good to have you here. Glad. And again, this is your first time. Hopefully it won't be your last, though. Okay, well, y'all ready for this? Let's get started, though. Like they used to say on Living Color. I got a new song about it. Y'all want to hear it? Here you go. Okay. Where we going to start? You know what? We've been talking about, let me get Tracy in here. Tracy from San Antonio. Good to have you here from the Alamo. Great to have you here, Tracy. Good to have you here. Okay, and Char from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Good evening to you, ma'am, as well. Okay, y'all just come on in. Okay, as you know, y'all been watching in the news, and let me get Cassandra. Good evening to you, ma'am, from Kansas. Great to have you here. Okay, about the big beautiful bill. Okay, now I'm not about to go into the political part of it, though, but I really just want to talk about SNAP benefits, and this got a little report, and it's something that's been kind of commonplace. And I didn't know this kind of chicanery was going on, though. So this will be our little appetizer, though. So y'all sit back, listen to this, and then we'll share each other's thoughts about this.
Well, millions of dollars in SNAP benefits have been stolen across Texas. That is the latest figures from the state, and the number continues to go up.
We have been digging into the topic after a flood of messages to Two Helps You. Of the millions stolen last year, just $750,000 have actually been recovered. KPRC 2's Gage Golding is looking into the theft of taxpayer money that shows an alarming pattern.
And I was in line attempting to purchase my groceries when I swiped my card and it said declined.
They said that my card was denied, and when I called the card in, they said that I had like $1.78 left.
The stories of stolen SNAP benefits are eerily similar. Just change the name and the family left figuring out how they'll get food this month. Someone goes to the store, their card declines. They check their account only to find someone else used up all of their benefits from somewhere else in the country.
And it actually showed me there's a gourmet shop in New York.
With your help, did a little bit more digging and found out that they were used in Brooklyn.
You see what I'm saying here? Jenny and Leondera are just two examples of the same scenario playing out right here in Texas and around the nation. Just check the Google reviews for that bagel shop in another market showing the same trend. They're both in New York City and both full of people crying foul of stolen benefits.
We're all vulnerable as it is in this situation, receiving benefits, and to have your assistance stolen from you, it's completely devastating.
I asked both the state and the feds for transaction information for both of those stores in New York City. Could this trend be true? How much stolen taxpayer money could be used at each of these stores more than 1,400 miles away? My request from both of those agencies was denied. The state saying they don't have any jurisdiction of stores outside of state lines, and the feds saying they simply don't share that proprietary information.
It's not fair to the taxpayers of Texas. It's just not fair at all.
I believe we have to have those questions answered. I believe we have that right to know.
Like many others, their stolen benefits are long gone. Federal funding to replace the money dried up last December.
What have you been doing to try to put food on the table this month?
Well, we've been eating canned beans and rice.
Both the state and the Fed say they investigate stolen SNAP benefits, but neither would be transparent on how.
There isn't no reason why we should be in the dark about this.
In Houston, Gage Golding, KPRC 2 News.
That's beautiful right there. That's beautiful. I'm gonna kind of give, I guess, a disclaimer of sorts. Even though it was talking about Houston in the state of Texas, this is pretty much a nationwide problem. Pretty much, this happens in Alabama. I've seen several people had this happen to them in Alabama. So there's Alabama, Texas, and probably other places as well. And someone in Alabama had their EBT, their SNAP benefits being stolen from someone in Boston, someone thousands of miles away. That's crazy right there. So what do y'all think about that? And there used to be a time they would replace it, but with the federal government, because the federal government funds SNAP. Okay, the federal government, supplemental. I'm tired tongue. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the SNAP benefits. The federal government would prior to the big beautiful bill would fund the states with that, and the states, the financial part, but the state would be responsible for just running the organization. The funds came from the federal government, but now with the big beautiful bill, the state is responsible for the funding. The federal government is no longer responsible for the funding. Therefore, and like you've heard in the report, the funds are dried up. So if your benefits are stolen for that month, as far as your SNAP benefits are concerned, you're pretty much out of luck right there. That is pretty much it. It's the sad truth right there. So, and you had people who've had, and I mean, I've seen posts on Facebook, on social media, people have lost hundreds of dollars in SNAP benefits from how it's done, I don't know. So let's see what's going on. Let's see what y'all got to say about this right here. We got some more people coming in. So, hey, Yvonne, great to have you here. Hey, Michelle, great to have you here. Hey, Rochelle, good to have you here. That's horrible. You're right. That's crazy too. Proprietary info. That does sound crazy. Oh, Texas has gone through a lot. Y'all pray for the state of Texas. Y'all just pray for them. This is wild. Yes. I am on SNAP and I would be mad if that happened to me. Exactly. Exactly. And this happened to one of my students here in Georgia. First of all, the big bogus bill is more like it. I don't want to turn this political, but I do agree. Second, it's awful that their SNAP benefits have mysteriously disappeared in another state. However, not sharing the information with the lower and middle classes is just as terrible. I mean, I would like to know if my benefits were stolen. Well, guess what? I want to know where it was, how this happened, and what you're going to do about it. Virginia as well. Wow. More than who stole the benefits, they need to find out how they stole them. Well, one of the things I have been researching that people end up installing skimmers, and somebody looked that up for me. Skimmers into these things what you stick your debit card in and your EBT card in. And it steals your information, and somehow the scammers pick up the skimmers out the card machine and steal your information, PIN number and everything though. So that's the only way I know they're doing it. But somebody else had something else. Maybe Doge stole it. Well, they had access to a lot of people's information. That's not beyond the realm of possibility right there. So that's something to think about, though. Erica says, I can believe that people are doing that. They're probably hacking the system like someone hacks a debit card. Wow. Yeah, exactly. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. If they're not replacing the stolen SNAP, maybe they're actually doing the theft. That's one thing I've heard. That's one thing I've heard too. I've kind of heard that as well, though. I've heard that as well. So, so sad. The people need it. Yeah, that's true. Angela, good to have you here. Lord, help your people so that no one suffers during these crazy times. Yep. Yeah, this is very sad. Yeah. Sounds like there are skimmers on the machines in those stores. Yep. And it's collecting all the info, including the PIN number. Yep. That's what people are saying or suggesting right there. Hey, Artrice, good to have you here. This is just no, it's all over in America. I just happen to put Texas there because I mean it's pretty much the same thing going on in America. It's going on all over in America. This is terrible. Yep. This has had to be a data breach. Skimmers in New York won't pick up cards. You would be surprised. There are people I'm trying to tell you, there are people in Alabama have lost their benefits to people in Boston, Massachusetts, in the state of Pennsylvania. So, hey, it happens. I know this is off topic, but people are saying, and that could be, that could happen too. That could happen too. They sell their PIN number, that's something to think about right there. I still believe it's an inside job because how can they put them on the machines in a crowd store? Reginald, you're making too much sense. You're making too much sense. I'm going to leave it at that. You're making too much sense, my friend. Right. If there are falsified charges on the credit card, they shut down the card, send a new one and replace the funds. Sophia says inside job with the entire system. One person has just gotten their card and hadn't even used it. Wow. It was happening right here in South Carolina. I don't use my debit card anymore. I use my credit card now. So just in case something is stolen, I can dispute it. Okay. Agreed. Card skimming is a financial fraud involving the illegal capture of a victim's information using such a device. They can use it to create cloned cards for online transactions. I agree with you. Char. In Canada, we have the fraud department and special investigations department that prevent these kinds of situations. Wow. Amazing. Amazing, ain't it? All I got to say is this. Things are bad. Let me see what Sister Tracy got to say. I agree, inside job within Snap and the grocery store. Wow. All I got to say is, and if I'm not mistaken, the Food and Drug Administration's over Snap. I think, and maybe the Treasury Department. I don't know, but this been going on though. People been stealing SNAP benefits from other people. This one of those things you just throw your hands up, you shrug. That makes sense. I just never thought about that happening. It has been. I wish I could show you screenshots. Folks sitting up there showing stuff. I mean, hundreds of dollars stolen from their SNAP benefits used in other states. It's sad. And then they're left with nothing for the rest of the month. I really wonder about the steal part. I believe there may be workers in the system. Who knows? Who knows? That's the only thing I can just say is who knows? That's the only thing I could say right there. I could just say, I don't think it's a new thing. I don't know. If I could answer that, I would. I honestly don't know. So I'm gonna move on from this. But this, if you know anyone, if you or someone you know you know, has an EBT card, electronic benefits transfer, you know, and it doesn't stand for Eating Better Today card, but the Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Marcus. Okay. And the FDA falls under the Department of Agriculture. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Marcus. Because some people use their snaps to either, well, it's what it is. Like I said, once it ain't my concern. They get it, do they want to, you know. Inside, employees in Canada revenue were taking the CERB. And what does CERB stand for? And get fired immediately. What does CERB stand for? Let us know. You know, let us Americans know. Let us Yankees know. Least the state could do is find out how it's happening and help people protect their cards. Perhaps, but since you're looking at the big, beautiful bill, while it doesn't stop SNAP benefits per se, the what is it? The benefit of responsibility falls on each state. So, and they're thinking like, hey, we got to pay for this now. Not only are we paying for the management of SNAP, but we got to pay for it though. So who knows what might happen right there. Makes sense. They used to have out the commodities like government cheese, hand out commodities like government cheese in the 80s. It's an interesting story why they did that. I'll tell it right quick. Back in the 80s, in the early 80s, dairy farmers had surplus of dairy. They had a dairy surplus and they couldn't get rid of it. So with the federal government, and I think under President Ronald Reagan, they bought the dairy from those farmers and turned it into cheese. So now they had this surplus of cheese. You can't sit up there and let it go rotten. So what did they do with it? That's how they ended up giving government those cheeses away, that the commodities. So, and those who doubt my story, please fact check me. But that's how that went. And if you look it up, you'll see a picture of Ronald Reagan holding up a block of cheese. He grinning like he's going to make a giant grilled cheese sandwich or something. So those who don't believe it, look it up. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to move on. I didn't think this was going to be COVID emergency. Oh, okay. COVID emergency relief benefits. Okay. I get you. The big, beautiful bull. Okay. Okay. Marcus, Char beat you to it though. But thank you though. That cheese made the best mac and cheese, not to mention grilled cheese sandwiches. I get you. Okay. Just be mindful. Be careful. If you have your SNAP benefits, just be careful out there, okay? And if you if you're not on SNAP and you get debit card, your bank card, ATM cards, just be careful. Be mindful. Because folks want it. That's the only thing I can just say. Folks want it. Okay. We're going to move on. So, okay. Up next, we're going to get into relationship stuff. And we're going to talk about, well, you know what? Y'all just sit back and take a listen. As I think this is pretty interesting right here. Y'all sit back and take a listen.
We shouldn't be chasing marriage based on good deeds. But when you're seeped in religion and not revelation, you think marriage is something you earn because you don't have sex. You're making good decisions. Yeah. No one talks about when you don't get it. I love the church. It's not an attack on the church. And when you come up in the church, you expect to be married young. So it was almost like a to-do kind of checklist thing. Doesn't dismiss my desire, but I think sometimes it's a to-do list overtakes the actual desire. What needs to happen in the body of Christ that I'm not seeing enough of is the narrative and the conversation to women like myself who grew up thinking that just because you do good, you get this. I wanted somebody to talk to me that's been single for 20 years. The young lady you had on your show, whose wig fell off, it was a whole thing. Now she's married. But watching her go through her journey, watching her be single for a long time, watching her figure out ways to be happy, to now look at her be married, I need more of that. Nobody's talking to us about what if it doesn't work out. We're women. We want that. God created us to be nurturers, to be wives, to be mothers. That's fine if you don't want that. But if you want that and you don't have it, we're doing everything that we think we can do within our own means, and it's still not happening. And we have to sit and trust God with that. It's not enough conversations with women my age about it and these young girls. And that's why I wanted to come on here, because somebody got to talk to the women like me that are on the other side of this camera. This isn't about complaining. This is about constructing a real understanding of how to move through your life when this part of it is not happening for you.
The church and single women. The church and single women. And I guess my question is, and to the single ladies out there, how has the church, be it the whole body of Christ or your local assembly, how have they been in your moment of singleness? How has your local assembly helped you deal with your singleness? Have they offered any solutions? You know, I'd like to ask y'all. Just show me though. Let me see what y'all got to say right here. Let's see what y'all got to say. True that some people think that marriage is earned. Yes, God designed us to desire marriage. Nothing to be ashamed about. I never thought about that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I never thought about that though. But to the sisters out there, and again, how has the local assembly, your church, assisted you in your singleness? How has it been? You know, is the church doing enough? Is the church doing enough to help single women? I think the church, I speak this way. I think the church do more. Now, I think the single men, and I had this conversation last night with a good friend last night. The church could do better with the singles ministry. I've told this story 100 times. Here's 101 again. Is that the typical church ministry, singles ministry, they get together one Saturday a month, different age groups. The youngest one might be 20, the oldest one might be 62. Okay, different ages. They go see a PG movie. They go bowling. Then they go to a pizza place, maybe CC's Pizza, eat, chit chat, laugh. Then they go their separate ways for another 30 days. That, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, is the typical singles ministry. Now, yours may differ. Results may vary. If I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm right, let me know. But that's how I usually go. And to go to what Karen said, most churches don't really address singles or their issues. Okay. And I'm with you right there. But I do believe, for when they do, I believe, and I'm speaking as a man, I believe men get more help, maybe indirectly, in the church as far as being single is concerned, especially if you're in a position of authority. If you're a minister or a deacon or a musician, well, goodness, they're going to definitely try to marry you off. You know, you probably wouldn't have any trouble finding someone there. But what about the sisters, though? You know, how are you being treated in the local assembly, though? We got some good ones in here. I see a few good answers in here. Shireen says, my church has a singles ministry that meets once a month and we do fun activities. And they don't make you feel ashamed to be single. I have met some great friends. Okay. And that's a good one. Tracy says, church made it uncomfortable. Wow. These are two contrasting posts right here. She says, church made it uncomfortable to be single. Made me feel I needed to do more classes, more prayer, almost to dim my light. Wow, I'm so sorry about that. What kind of classes, if you don't mind going into detail about it? What kind of classes were they talking about? Singles class, that's news to me right there. Latoya says the overall church, I believe, is more invested in the marriage ministry instead of singles. One of my clients, a church, have a fantastic married couples ministry. Looks great. They do things. I mean, it looks fantastic. And I think a lot of them are more invested in marriage. Meanwhile, the single folks, you know, Mayday. That's about the best I could say. Angela says, in my 20s, single people were expected to get married or something was wrong with them. In the last 15 plus years, singles are supported more, understanding not everyone desires marriage. Interesting. And you know what? There was a lot of pressure to get people to get married. You know, and that made me think about the Beverly Hillbillies. They was always trying to marry Ellie Mae off. Now, Ellie Mae was like in her early 20s, but they were joking. Well, it was part of the show. They were saying, well, if she wasn't married by 13, she was an old maid. And I know that was comedy, though, but that's how the type of thinking they were. You know, if you weren't married by a certain age, you were an old maid, though. You know, and I have to be honest, they never had that type of double, you know, it was a double standard, though, because men didn't have that pressure. Men, I think men do have a pressure, but not as bad as the women, though. Mona says, they don't have a singles ministry. Wow. Hey, Kirsten, good to have you here, young lady. It's not talked about enough in the church as a whole. My church is a very small congregation, and they are my family members, mostly, so there's nothing they can do for me. I will say that white churches seem to do better with this singles ministry than black church, in my opinion. Interesting take right there. How many of y'all agree? L. Malcolm X, though not Christian, made many provocative statements. One being that the black woman is the most unprotected woman in the world. I feel that this sentiment is very visible in the black church, unfortunately, and that's inclusive of the churches pretty much turning a blind eye to the crisis of unmarried people, especially women, languishing in singleness in their churches. Wow, that's a statement right there. That is, do y'all think it's a crisis? Is it? I mean, it's something that's going on, though. But is being single in church a crisis? Y'all let me know in the comment section. El, you bring up a good point. In my area, men don't usually attend the church singles events. Okay. Okay. Singles ministry and women's. Those are the classes. Okay, I get you. Hey, Biscuit, good to have you. I actually started the singles ministry at my church with two of my friends. We just do social activities every few months right now. It was much needed as we did not fall in with the younger married nor with the older folks. I get you. I get you. As a woman, it is not easy to be single, but you have to learn how to navigate it mostly with your other Christian single girlfriends. Gotcha. Okay. I think it may be a lack of faith in church leadership, not knowing how to address and effectively serve singles in the church. On the other hand, many church leaders are already married, and so they don't understand, nor are they sensitive to the plight of single believers. I have to agree with you on that right there. I hate to be that way, but I agree with you on that. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Yvonne, the church really hasn't helped me. Therapy, working on myself mentally, physically, and emotionally has helped me embrace my singleness. If it's God's plan for me to remarry, it will happen. I hear you. I agree. Okay, Tanya. I think there's a need for a seasoned singles ministry, in my opinion. I agree. Valerie, at my church, it's geared more toward the married people versus the singles ministry. I agree with Malcolm about us not being protected. At my church, all the ministers, including the pastor, is single. So maybe it's a crisis to a degree. Okay, thank you for that response right there. Is it reasonable to expect the church to be able to solve our singleness when their church? That's a good one. That's good right there. That's a good question right there. Yes, it's a crisis. I go to multicultural church and I started a 35 plus singles ministry, and 80% was African American women. Only 10 men faithfully attend. Kirsten, being single in church is not addressed in most of the day's churches. If you're not married or with someone going in marriage direction, it's just not addressed. I've seen a problem for years because the pastors have been married since they were young, and so they don't understand singleness. Hence, it's not talked about. I'm with you. And y'all got some good points right here. Only thing I could just say, wait a minute, we got one in here. L, let me get to L. And relative to someone's earlier comment, when churches do address singleness, it seems to be limited to teaching you how to live single. Let me read that again, y'all. L, you coming today, though. You and relative to someone's earlier statement, when churches do address singleness, it seems to be limited to teaching you how to live single, but not preparing the singles for marriage, encouraging and equipping them for marriage. After so many years of living single victoriously, I got to the point of don't give me strategies for being single no more. Call those things that be not as though they were. I'm coming out of this. I am a wife. Prepare me for that. Not no more single living. I hear you, L. That's that Chicago coming out of you right there. I hear you. Okay, y'all. I'm going to say this. Sisters, you have my prayers and sympathy. I can't marry all y'all, though. But, but anyway, I just persevere. I don't know what more I can say, and I don't want to give you a bunch of platitudes, though. But persevere. And I notice that y'all said some things about the woman being unprotected and not cared for and what have you. And this is a, let me see this. This would be, and I'll just move this over, a good segue to our next topic. And it kind of goes together though. I want y'all to listen to this one right here. Okay, this is a new topic, but you would think it's all the same thing though. But just listen. Please listen. This is a tough one right here.
Most people don't know how to love. Listen to what I'm saying. We don't know how to love another person. We say those words, but a lot of us, including myself, Mo, man of experience, M-O-E, I did not know how to love somebody. I said the words, but in a lot of families, growing up, you don't see L-O-V-E. You're not taught L-O-V-E. You're taught survival. You're taught how you're supposed to act. You're taught what you're supposed to do. Love is something entirely different. How to love a woman. Most men, black, white, Asian, Latino, whatever ethnicity that you are, most men are taught how to take care of their family. There's not a lot of men that are taught how to love a woman.
Now, please don't turn this to a guy bashing session. I'm begging y'all, don't do that. Don't do that. But just kind of limit it to what we're talking about. Do men truly know how to love a woman? What do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about that? What's y'all thoughts on this right here? Let's see what y'all got to say. But I saw some things right here. While y'all getting y'all questions in, y'all answers in, let me read a few things right here. And it's absolutely a crisis from a spiritual perspective. It's warfare. The devil don't want us to get married. The devil wants everyone living in sin. Yes. Singleness is pretty much swept on the rug. Not many leadership is directed in that area. Okay. Hey, Barbara, how you doing, Pastor Barbara? Facts, true love is only understood and experienced from and through God, period. Wow. Yes. I agree with him. Most do not know how to love, but we can all learn if we yield to that. Sadly, I think this applies to many men and women. Wow. Thank you, Karen. You're all right with me. I believe most men do not. You can't give. Wow. You can't give what you never got. You can't pour from an empty cup. A mature man knows how to love a woman. If it's a woman he really wants to be with, he will figure it out. Amen to that. That's why the Bible tells husbands to love their wives like Christ loves the church, because they don't naturally know how. Wow. I protect my spirit and personal space at all costs. Most people don't listen to others' needs. Most people don't and can't love properly. Wow. Love is a spiritual journey, not just physical. Wow. Y'all coming in tonight. It takes maturity to decide to learn how to learn someone else properly. Music had a song that came out around 2007 singing Teach Me How to Love. I love that song. It was sincere and it resonated with me. I knew I had more to learn about loving. Wow. It is true. Men don't know how to love. Also, women don't know how to. Ooh, wow. You just said everybody don't know how to love. Wow. 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 We love because God loved us. God is love. So if we surrender to Christ, he would teach us how to love. Shar says, I agree, but to love a woman truly comes from the love of your mother. Because it goes back to when men are taught to be the breadwinners, while the women are taught to be nurturing. So it comes from the love of women. Barbara says, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most married couples don't really know how to love in the deepest level. I agree with you 100% on that. I agree. Now, I don't know. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Okay. Y'all coming in too. I like this. Latoya, I was listening to a podcast and this Christian man said that men love how they saw love in their household growing up. That's why it's important to get to know their upbringing. That makes a difference right there. I'm glad you said that, Sister Randolph. I'm glad you said that. If a man saw his daddy loving on his mother, treating her like the queen she was, then that instilled into him to love the woman he planned to marry or end up marrying. Because folks be married, just like Barbara said, folks married and still be sitting up there out of love or whatever. So, Sister Sneed, good to have you here. Sometimes it's hard for a woman to teach a man how to love her because she has not experienced proper love from a man. And you know what? That can go both ways. That could easily go both ways. Sometimes it's hard for a man to teach a woman how to love him because he has not experienced proper love from a woman. And that could go both ways. Ooh, that's good right there. I'm glad you said that. That's good, though. That could apply to everybody. Valerie, I agree. Most men don't know how to love a woman. A lot of men don't know how to love a woman because a lot of them are broken. And most of them are just taught how to. Wow. Real love is sacrifice, and mankind is inherently selfish. So it takes God to help us to be more selfless. Michelle says, I think men want to learn how to really love a woman, but most do not. Women don't either. That's it. That is why we need the Holy Spirit to show us. It's a journey, a beautiful one. Wow. Fortunately, my father showed us how to love by how he loved our mom. He just didn't talk about it. He showed. And my mom didn't just talk about it. She showed it. And we learned by example. Wow. Some men do know how to love a woman unconditionally. But unfortunately, there are those who do not. Wow. Y'all coming in here through prayer and you. Okay. Agree. Tracy says, as adults, we must heal from generational trauma, unlearn patterns from what was seen, spoken, and taught, damaged our spirit. We all must let go of ghosts care from the past. Only God can do this. Okay. I was accused of being a person of entitlement because I know I'm a queen material. And as a queen, I'm willing to wait for a king. Okay. That's why I said we can all learn. We go from faith to faith. I believe love is inclusive in that. Most of the time, men and women as well as men can't love properly due to baggage that a lot of them has carried through past trauma and hurt. Okay. I just say this, and I love the answers. They were respectful, and I appreciate that, and I say much obliged to y'all. I think we could all need teaching on how to love. There are women I have loved from the depths of my heart. But you know what? I think we could all use a lesson on how to love, right? Right. Okay, we got one more. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. Last week, my mother and I had a slight debate. And we debated about the bathroom door, on whether or not I leave, when not in use. We talking about when not in use. When not in use, I leave my door open. She leaves her bathroom doors closed. And we debated that. And here's a video. This is kind of an older video from Ricky Smiley though, but it's a bit hilarious though. Y'all take a listen.
Let's argue. I got a legitimate question, and a lot of people have real thoughts on this. Okay, let's talk for a minute. Okay, you at somebody's house. Okay, you asked to use the restroom. Okay, let me get this. Make sure my bathroom clean. Okay. You use the restroom, okay? So when you use the restroom and you come out of the restroom, from using the restroom either at your house or anybody else's house, it's just coming out of the restroom. Here's the question. When you come out of the restroom, do you leave the door open or do you close the door when you come out of the restroom? Now, there are some people that close the door when they come out of the restroom. This just me. Why would you close the door when you come out of the restroom? Now if you had if you had a number 2 situation and you want to close the door for courtesy, that's one thing, okay? But if you just went in there and pee, or to go in there just to wash your hands, and you come out of the restroom, why do you close the door? Because it will make the next person think that someone is in the restroom. Now help me out, because everybody got a different way of doing things. We ain't judging nobody. I just need to know, why do people close the restroom door? Now, if you did have a number 2 situation, okay, most people in their house, and when I'm having company, I have this, okay? Just in case you have the potty, I have that. And then most of the time I have, I light a candle. When I'm having company, I always light a candle in the bathroom. Okay? So, if you come in here just to wash your hands or whatever, and you have a potty, then
So here we go. Bathroom door, open or closed? What say y'all? Bathroom door, open and closed. I'm team open. So let's see what we got here. L says open. Okay. Open. Okay. Open. Okay. Rich says, leave it open. The bathroom needs to be aired out. Depends on what you did in the bathroom, but general, no, leave it open. Okay. Okay. Okay, open. Hey, Angela, good to have you here. Open. I leave my bathroom door open. I'm not fighting with the door. What if I really have to go? Open. Okay. Open unless I did number 2. Okay. Uh, okay. Tracy says, I leave my door closed. I have a small Pomeranian who likes to wander around. Plus, the restroom carries germs in the air. My mother said the exact same thing. As a healthcare professional, it's the best practice. Microbiology changed my world. Okay. Okay. When I use it, you leave it open. Oh, okay. Okay. I keep mine closed. It's just something I've always done. If you think someone is in there, there's not. By keeping it closed, if someone does visit and go in there, go in and does number 2, they will be inclined to close the door when they done. Okay. Only Ricky would go to hit it right on the head unless it's open, unless it's courtesy needed. Yeah, you stinking up the place. Door open regardless. Air freshener is always available. Otherwise, you end up knocking to see if someone is in there. Okay. Like the doors of the church is open. Like the doors of the church is open. Okay, Rochelle says keep it. She keeps it closed. Okay. Angela says I keep the door open and no one else has used my bathroom. Spray it for number 2. Use the vent. Open the window. Let some air in. Nobody needs to walk into that fog. Okay. Even if you took number 2, we can take precautions. Use the poopery in the toilet. Turn on ventilation and leave the door open crack. If you keep the door closed, the smell will remain in there longer. Yes, it will. People don't realize that. I leave it open, but I also have air purifiers in several places for the germs. Okay, so we got some of us like to keep it open, and some, like my mom, like to keep it closed. So hey, it's probably one of those things though, like toilet paper. A quick. Well, I don't want to ask that. Over and here we go. I keep it closed. You can turn on the fan for a while, and the air, and I always keep air fresh. Yes, you do. I know. I know you do. Okay. This almost just as bad as when you put the toilet paper in, do you put it over or under? I always put mine over. I prefer over. So, well, in any case, guess what, y'all? We out of time. And a little bit over to y'all finna answer it too. We have a time. Oh goodness. Over. Oh, here we go. How I got over. That's right. Now it's over for me, not under. Over. Oh boy. I'm over too. So yeah, like I said, I'm over too. So okay. Like I said, we out of time and overtime. Yes, it did. It went by real fast though. They say time flies when you're having fun though. So guess what though? It's time for the announcements. Up next, and about at the bottom of the hour, at 1:30, we're gonna have the after party. We're gonna talk about these things, and guess what though? If you come to the after party, one of our own has gotten married though. Yes, somebody from the group got married. Who? Come to the party and you'll find out. You get all the juicy details. So after party, the room is already open, But I don't let people in until half past, though. So get your snacks and your libation and everything else ready. And then next week, if the Lord's will, we're going to have our weekly fellowship. It's still like the after party. Let me go back to this. The link is already up in the group. So if you're in SBC or SBCC, you're going to see this graphic. It's the Zoom link is already up. And I'm going to post it in the chat as well, though. So, okay. And then next week, we're going to do the same thing. Weekly fellowship. Zoom party. Go in. Chit chat. Have a good time. And then, Lord's will again, we will have another enticing episode of SBC Tuesday Talk. And that's it. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank y'all for y'all support. Thank y'all for thank you for being here with us. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all and thank y'all for y'all support. Hope y'all had a good time. Hope y'all learned something though. And that's it. Take care of yourselves. Stay vigilant. Be careful out there. Be good. Love on each other. Be kind to each other. Treat each other right. Don't let hate win and don't take any wooden nickels. So until next time, so long, everybody.
We met where the sun greets the sky so high. Laughter in your eyes where my dreams collide. You held my hand when the storms poured down. Turned the gray into light when I wore a frown. Through thick and thin you were always there. The moments we shared, nothing can compare. A love that blooms where the roots run deep. In your arms is a place where my soul can sleep. We walk through valleys where shadows fall. Told our secrets like echoes in the hall. Every joke, every tear